Hey there, so this video is on solving equations and inequalities. So we're going to start with some multi-step equations. Alright, so let's say we have 2, might help if I turn my pen on, 2n plus 3n plus 7 equals negative 41. Alright, so here's an equation. Always take a minute to just kind of evaluate what kind of equation you're looking at so you can think about where you really want to get started. All right, so when I'm looking at this, I'm noticing that I have a 2n and a 3n. Now, typically when you're solving an equation, you're trying to get your variable by itself on one side of your equal sign. So since both of my variables are on the same side of the equal sign, it makes my life just a little bit easier as we get started. So since they're on the same side, I'm just going to combine my like terms. So 2n plus 3n gives me 5n. And I'm going to go ahead and bring down what I have left. So I've got the plus 7 equals negative 41. All right, so the next thing is I'm still trying to get this n by itself. So I need to subtract the 7. We subtract the 7 because your rules of algebra, you do the opposite operation of what's there. You're undoing what's done. So we want to subtract the 7. Okay, plus by subtracting 7 from positive 7, this is going to give us 0 here, okay, and then over here we're going to do the exact same operation. You always want to keep equations balanced. So we subtract 7 here, subtract 7 here. All right, so again, this equals 0, so I'm left with 5n equals, and negative 41 minus 7, since both of them are negative, your solution is going to be negative 48. Okay, so now we're going to divide by 5, and n is going to give us negative 48 divided by 5. Okay, so this is going to give us an interesting fraction. 5 will go into 48 9 times, so we can just turn this into a mixed number. 9 times 5 is 45, so we're left with 3/5. Okay, so you always want to double check your work, right? So you can always substitute your solution back in and make sure that it works. So if we substitute back in, I'm going to actually substitute in the negative 48/5. I think that will make our life just a little bit easier. So I'm going to substitute that in back up here with the 5n plus 7. So if I do 5 times negative 48/5 plus 7 equals negative 41. Okay, well, one thing that I know is if I have, if I do 5 times this, I'm actually going to be able to eliminate this 5 and this 5, because it's almost like I have 5 over 5, which is 1. Okay, so 5 times negative 48/5 eliminates your 5s. You're left with negative 48 plus 7 equals negative 41. If you do negative 48 plus 7, that leaves you with negative 41 equals negative 41. Check, that works. So we did our math correctly. Okay, so your solution is this negative 9 3/5, or if you leave it as an improper fraction, negative 48/5. All right, let's do another one. All right, so let's say we have, let's say we have 2x minus 5x plus 6.3 equals negative 14.4. All right, so they're throwing some decimals at us here. Same process on this problem. You want to combine your like terms first. So 2x minus 5x is going to give us negative 3x. Bring down what we have. Okay, subtract 6.3 from both sides. Remember, you're trying to get this, over to this side, getting the x by itself. So you do the opposite operation of what's in there. So you subtract the 6.3, that gives me 0. And here I have negative 14.4 minus 6.3. So again, they're both negative, so your solution is going to be negative. So let's go ahead and bring down the negative 3x equals, well, what is 4 plus 3 is 7, 14 plus 6 is 20, and I told you it's going to be negative. So now I have to divide by negative 3. Okay, so x equals, now in this particular case, you may, one thing you should notice first off is you have a negative here and a negative here. So this solution is going to end up being positive. The other thing, if you don't know what 20.7 divided by 3 is, set up your division. Okay, so 3 will go into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract. Go ahead and put your decimal up there so you don't leave it out of your solution, and bring down the 7. How many times will 3 go into 27? Hopefully you said 9. Okay, and so your solution is x equals 6.9. Okay, again, you can go back and check your work by substituting in the 6.9 into your equation up here for x. And as long as both sides balance out, you're going to be fine. All right, so you're going to do several problems like this just to practice solving equations. You're going to get some decimal answers, some fraction answers, and that sort of thing. So just keep working at that and check your solutions as you go. Now, I want to show you one where you're going to have to do some the distributive property. All right, so let's look at this one. Okay, so on this one, you see that you have the 2 sitting outside the parentheses. So we're going to have to use our distributive property here before we can simplify really anything else. Well, I mean, technically you could subtract the 15 first if you wanted to, but I don't want to. So we're going to do our distributive property first. All right, so we're going to do 2 times a, which is 2a. And then we're going to do 2 times negative 4. Sorry, I covered that up there. 2 times negative 4, which gives me negative 8 plus 15 equals 13. Now I have some like terms here that I can combine. So negative 8 plus 15 is going to give me 7. So I have 2a plus 7 equals 13. What do I do next? Hopefully you're thinking, or maybe even you said out loud, minus 7. So you get 2a equals, what is 13 minus 7? Good, it's 6. And then we're going to divide both sides by 2. A equals 3. Again, you can take this 3, substitute it back into your equation, and check to make sure both sides of your equal sign balance out. As long as they balance, you get the same thing on both sides of the equal, you've done your work correctly. Okay? So, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to inequalities. Now, inequalities, you can